All right, and we are back here
And
for DP. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess I got to do intro this time around. Not a big deal. We were just finishing up some writing here before we get into another match for Space Rangers, and it is not organized chaos. Once again, sadly, it is going to be Revsport International. And because we already have at least one team added on our side, we'll be able to know when they actually start popping the queue, which should be very, very soon. But Boxy, some major takeaways from the last matchup since we've already seen Space Rangers play today.
I mean, I feel like their biggest problems again on attack were the lack of utility usage and just funneling instead of maybe spreading out at times. They always had
Mhm.
five people just push together, push together, push together, no flank watch established. On defense, I also feel like it was mostly the positioning. They weren't really expecting all the outcomes or like the attack possibilities. They're just kind of like, this is the most likely one to happen. This is the default. Let's just counter this. And, that ended up costing them a while, especially if you remember back on Bank, those vents plays will never leave my mind where they were attacking. They didn't have anyone in the vents and they just lost three bodies off it. When they were
Mhm.
defending, the same thing. They got punished from literally the same vent that we were talking about. So for me, I think that's the biggest one. What do you think?
No, I mean, I would have to agree. A lot of tunnel vision once again. Um, and there were rounds where they picked ample times to get aggressive. But once again, it felt like they were a newer team. Like their cohesion just simply was not there. A lot of people wanted just to jump the gun at incorrect times. So I'm hoping now that they've got like an official game, not just a scrim in the books, that's gonna help them against Rev Sports International. I
Yeah.
don't really know their lineup, but of course, once we get into the game, we'll be able to figure that out in a pretty quick fashion. I think they're just about ready to queue. Yeah, Roach was able to indicate to them they can start queue. Thankfully, big ups to Roach. So we'll be getting in just a little while. But yeah, if things don't get remedied quickly here by Space Rangers, this could be a second loss in a row for them to start out there under their lower bracket beginnings. Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lower league. So in the end, I feel like it's just a great learning experience for all the newer teams to kind of, get their feet wet in competitive league process. And you can only get so much. You can only take away so much from scrims. The rest, you need to actually have competitive experience. And this is, at the end of the day, what the lower league is providing all of these teams. So even if you walk away with a loss, it's not like it's the end of the world. You're not playing for, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. You're just here to have fun, learn something new, and maybe, just maybe, be a contender to the upper league teams and maybe, I don't know, a season or two. So, win or lose, I think no one should be too hard on themselves today. I think it's a great learning opportunity for both, all of the new teams and us and the viewers by extent. So let's get this started, I guess. We will be going up on C Store first.
Yeah, this was one of the okay sets for, or at least one of the okay maps for Space Rangers. We'd only get to see a little bit of action there for them. But hey, this will be a great way to actually fix around their coordination, see what could work and what possibly couldn't. They could try to go through Storefront. They want to go for a lights play, but besides that, it is kind of isolated heavy from the map. The red door all the way on the upper right next to Teller is a bit of a funnel. Not a great idea to try to go through that. So really, your best option is either trying to go through Freezer to have a nice cutoff angle, or just go through Free. And I think we're mostly going to see just a green take into Office, and then probably have some sort of split leading from both Storage, and then eventually in towards Freezer as well.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with green is that really the whole office arcade area is very, very convoluted. There's a lot of natural
Hmm.
cover, a lot of places to rat in, a lot of, funnel potentials. And while we only see one barbed wire there, it could be more than enough to stop the attackers in their tracks. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's definitely a possibility here. And like you said, you called it. It's probably going to be a green push. They haven't bought any clackers, which means they can't actually open anything up. They're baiting out a few mollies. The flash is going out as well. And they do have a nade to get rid of that barbed wire, but it's not being thrown just yet for some reason.
Well, looks like they'll try to save it and try to run in towards the Lions. Then it allows Coke to get one freebie. Thankfully, Abra is there to make Coke now disappear. Louis will have to step up to the plate and go big as they try to swing out by themselves. Thankfully, they're not going to really lose that much HP and can fall back quite comfortably inside of Fridges. So, Office Control is in the pocket of the attack. They'll now try to get control of Arcade, but they might not check for Cav, who tries to go big here with the knack, but gets fully blinded, allowing Sosa to shut them down. Louis will manage to find the refrag, now equalizing once again, 3 versus 3 this time, and really not a lot being done here for Space Rangers. They haven't even fully cleared out Freezer, as Jacques is still in the back, getting in between those shells and could definitely fall back inside of storefront. A bit of ring around the rosy happening between Louis and Abra.
Oh, okay.
Finally, Louis winning that altercation, and now it's the man advantage back in the favor of the defense. 50 seconds left.
Absolutely agreed. It's gonna come down to the engagement between Catatonic and Cam. They're both just playing this patiently. Cam is probably gonna be the one to win it out. No, it's actually Catatonic, and now it's a 1v2. JK has to win this out, and he only has the Gruber. He finds the first one. Can he find the second one? It's a Gruber versus Gruber. The flashes are coming out, and they're coming in clutch for FaZe, who pushes up, gets the kill, and that is round one. Going over to Space Rangers. And this was such a chaotic round right off the bat. I thought Organized Chaos was playing in last round, but I guess Organized Chaos left now, and it's just non-Organized Chaos. It's regular Chaos. It's chaotic and it's explosive. And wow.
Wow, indeed. No better way to put it, to be honest. One person who I really want to mention here by far has got to be Louis. We
Uh-huh.
remember him on his former team. I believe it was not.
Gnomes.
Was it the Gnomes? Yeah. Okay.
Gnomes.
I'm glad I can mildly remember that, as I have the memory of a squirrel apparently. But for Gnomes, he was always known as that player who kind of goes for kind of a silly play. He'll get too aggressive, and sometimes dies early on. But his aggression there was much more conservative. He took the right time and made the proper call, when to swing, when to find that refrag, and when to not. The only problem that I had with him is that instead of maybe falling back to either play near that red door next to Teller or playing in bathroom, he still played next to the bomb chest, which eventually got him killed. And that gave away the
Mhm.
man advantage, allowed for better isolation for Space Rangers to get their first round in the books. Not the biggest problem overall because he still found a lot of impactful kills for his team, but that one minor mistake really went a long way for Space Rangers.
Yeah. Speaking of Louis, is it safe to say he should be demolishing everyone in here in the lower division, given that he was on Gnomes and they had a pretty decent, if not great, run during the major, or not really?
I wouldn't say so. It's always more of a team-based aspect. You can
Okay.
have your main entry or your main fragger player do good in the kill department, but if you have someone like your flank watch be kind of weak, your anchor game is missing out, it's gonna show. And like I mentioned, we had Louis find two very impactful kills,
Hmm.
but in order to find those kills, two of his teammates also had to die. So it was kind of a last-ditch attempt to bring that side back in your favor. So there's plenty to look at other than
Hmm.
just Louis and his own play style, but how the rest of his team is going to try to enable that fragger to do his job consistently.
Okay, well, I just want to be clear here. In my opinion, Louis was, from the old Gnomes roster, by far the quietest player on the roster. He was always there in the background, silently doing his job, but he never had those, flashy step out into the light moments. But I still think he just brings so much needed experience onto Revsport that I think he can really push them over the top. And they were very close to clutching that one round up on C-Store. Sadly, they still lost it, but I think they're in a pretty good disposition to at least get one or two on the board here in the first half. Anyways, it is going to be Killdom, and we haven't actually had the time to mention it yet. It looks like it's going to be a 3 beach, 2 jungle push, which I'm a fan of. Don't really contest castle unless you need to. It's one of the weaker castles overall, I think. Unless you maybe wanted to go for the lights, but that's not the case. The beach has been pushed, the smokes are out, and the breach has been opened.
The only problem here, I don't like how there's a very weak presence inside of that red door. Already, we have Tetra fall. FaZe will follow suit as well, this time by Cav instead of Louis. There's a bit of refrags going on across the ways by Sosic with that Black Tar, but it is only Catonic Mercury, and he will meet the exact same fate by the hands of Louis. Once again, kind of being a nail because it is only that 1 versus 1, and now it's all up to this pressure established inside of Beach. Sosic will try to step up, but is only by themselves as Abra does not want to really get too far into the mix because they only have a Saber after all. And because they've already dropped
Oh?
down, their best they can do is try to work for these 1-for-1 picks, which they do beautifully. It is only up to Louis. Abra still has a flash grenade and plenty of ammo to play off of as well. The stun comes flying out. Luckily, though, Louis has plenty of natural cover, but has to make his timing pretty much perfect against that Saber. Abra now tries to get aggressive here with the pistol, and he runs right
There
into
we
Louis'
go.
unloving arms. The Saber now retrieved by the defensive player, and there we have it. Being able to get enabled there by only going for 1-for-1 conflicts actually allowed Louis to go big on that round and be one of the main deciding factors for his team to get their first round on the board.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be anyone that stops the bleeding that Abra has caused for Rev Sports, I think it's definitely gonna be Lewin. That is exactly what we have seen. So nice, clutch for him there, but it shouldn't have come down to that 1v1. If I can be critical here for a second, when you have a 1v3 advantage, you don't just swing out the Saber across half the map one by one by one. You don't give him those fights because that is where Sabers thrive, and especially over those longer ranges. And, I'm glad Louis won the 1v1. I think it was a deserved round for them, but it really shouldn't have come to that. And that is something that's taken me off a little bit.
Yeah, once again, if we just had better coordination by the Space Rangers, that would have been a completely different round. We had everyone just walk single file line one at a time into the back red door. And then we had the beach presence very lacking. It is kind of hard to only push from beach, especially when there's two barbed wire placed the way it was on that last round. But they could have rotated pit and made something work for sure. Just
Yep.
once again, jumping the gun really for Space Rangers. That's something we talked about a lot last matchup, and we'll probably have to reiterate ourselves a second time. Moving into bank now. Pretty interesting one. It looks like we'll have a double charge. Thankfully, there is still a clacker on the board, so at least they get pressure into lobby early on. They just have to be very careful about both manager and also teller. I would
Mhm.
honestly prefer a charge play back here, for example, into accounting. That way they could have a double prong approach. But we've seen Space Rangers not offer that. They like to go for 5-man pushes or 4-man pushes instead, which sucks because it isn't how you should be playing the game most of the time. But Space Rangers, I guess comfort is king for them really in this matchup.
This is not how you're supposed to play the game. Meme comes to mind. Anyways, I just want to quickly redirect your attention to the top left corner. High stream Uvu set cam on the side of Rev, so say hi to him in chat because he's apparently excited to be here on the stream. But like you said, I think he encapsulated it perfectly. I don't think I really need to go over any of the setups here. It's probably going to be a main blow, especially judging off of the, icons that we are seeing on the map. And I do want to see if anyone pushes vents whatsoever. I feel like it's a very powerful position here to get control of the hallway, but, they could very well elect to actually just have 5 people go main, and that is actually what may be happening here. They do kick the doors down just for, the audible effect, but will they have anyone push into vents is another story for another time.
Oh, I don't think they're checking for Louis, though. He's got that full auto. Patience being key. The wall charge corner
No.
goes down.
Oh.
Louis trying to go big, but only gets a single pick. Still, though, the commotion caused by that play with the full auto is not completely horrible. Now they're completely
Ooh.
aware it's only a main take. A good one for when trade happens, and thankfully Jacques still has that mop in pocket.
Oh.
Maybe find another pick potentially, but unfortunately Cam dying instead of security will now open things up, and only Jock is left to stand as well because Coke died to phase. There's actually a very challenging position now. The only thing that's stopping the attack from completely dumpstering out this round is the fact that they still need to get button control. Jacques goes for a 1-for-1 against FaZe, but sadly is not going to come out on top in that gunfight. So it'll be a second round, not in a row for Space Ranger, but a second round altogether in that first quarter. The fact we didn't have anyone kind of play with Louis in that full auto play, like no one playing super aggressive, I feel like kind of sold Louis' position short. If we had more aggression from that player and manager and maybe Teller early on, that could have been a very different story. But oh well, it happens. Once again, enabling them. It didn't happen well enough, and because of that, Louis didn't do all that well.
Yeah. I was definitely going to comment on how, the opera of Jackie could have just, or I think I just butchered that. You'll give me a lesson on it later on. But I was just going to comment about how they should have just had the mob just, shot all of the shots, as many shots as you can. But then I realized it's a throwdown. It doesn't matter. Even if you drop the mob, the attackers can't pick it up because we're switching sides and we are replaying the first 3 maps over and over again with the roles swapped and the armories restocked. So there is that going on. But if you're not in a 3rd, 6th, or 9th round and you're, an opper in a 1v4, 1v5 situation, just shoot out as many bullets as you can so that it's less appealing for the attackers to pick up the mop at the end of the round. Unless you really think you can win, then obviously go for the win. But we're back on C-Store. And I am very curious to see what Rev decide to do here. They have been doing relatively okay, but just kind of fell short of 2 of their rounds so far. And maybe on attackers where they thrive, maybe they get it. Maybe they equalize the scoreline.
Oh, potentially. I'm wondering how well Rev International can actually enable Louis. Again, I hate sounding like a broken record, but Louis does have the most experience out of any of these players, really, in the pro scene. And we have seen him pop off early. He's done a bunch of damage in the first 3 rounds, especially round number 1 and 2. Round number 3, he was very lackluster, only getting 1 kill before falling. But again, if we had better team play, especially around Louis' playstyle, that round could have went much more differently. But new side, new team, and all that
Yeah.
fun stuff.
I
So
mean,
yeah, I don't,
it's
you know,
it's
you know,
something that EK. I know. It's something that EK always tells you, and I think specifically me, is that power weapons, and I think he usually means snipers, but I think it also applies to auto shotguns in this case. Power snipers or power weapons slash snipers are very hard to carry with. You can do a lot of quote unquote support work on it, but it's super hard to 1v5 carry. You're better off with a rifle in that case. And I think that's what punished Louis. He was like, I'm gonna go for this hero play, I'm gonna get as many kills as I can. I think you should be letting your other players do that. You are quote unquote the star of your team, arguably. You're the only known player, the really experienced player on that team, as far as I know. And, you should be kind of the enabler for your team instead of trying to be the main fragger slash the
yeah.
auto shotty and sniper player. And that is not what he went for in that last round. And I think that is quite honestly one of the main reasons that they lost, because they lost both the auto shotty and Louis at the same time so very early on. But it's going to be a office green push, the shotgun just pushing through, and again it's Louis on it, which I'm not the biggest fan of, if I'm being quite frank. He already used his flash, doesn't use the grenade, but he checks the corner and fades into the first one to fall. Catatonic follows soon after. Great openers. Will Louis get a third one? He takes a little bit of damage, but actually misses his shots, doesn't quite connect onto Tetra. Jekka is there to refrag though, so it's a 2v4.
Thankfully, we had the refrag by Jacques. Now it's up to Abra and Sosik. Both isolated. Sosik now gets dropped. It's only Abra now, and they are trapped by their own barbed wire. I don't know why you would have that bar places. It's a very dumb idea to push through that red doorway, and because of that, Abra was stuck essentially in a rock and a hard space. But, we talked about the aggression by Louis. It is a bit risky to have your star player go on such a very high-risk role. But it worked out. He got the first couple of picks, or at least got a pick, then was assisted by Jacques, and then he was able to refrag quite effectively on towards, not Tetra, but no, actually it was Tetra. Then he killed Sosik later in the round. So, hey, it worked out. Not the worst thing here for Rev International. And now the equalize 2-2, going to round number 5.
Yeah, I know we can't see and the viewers can't see the map anymore. I think the only reason if you push those top red doors on the map is if you have an LS, like if you blow and then just have an LS push through tellers. You smoke off the long angle into storefront, you just have all of your people push into storefront, you open up the shutter, and then there's your saber or even mob if you've picked it up previously, player playing outside for the long angles, and you just kind of pinch the storefront theater. I think that's the only really use case of that upper door. Other than that, like I said, it's pretty useful, and having a barb on it is probably going to do more harm than profit. And we've seen that, and we are on kill them. If I'm not mistaken, the one, actually no, who won? That was Rev, right? Rev won.
Yeah, they did win on Killdome.
Yeah, it was the one he won by Louis, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So it was by all means a Rev round, but then they threw 1v1s at Space Rangers, at Abra specifically on the Saber, and it ended up almost costing them. It came down to literally, a few seconds, a few bullets, a few points of HP, and it should not have been as close. And I am curious to see if maybe Rev can replicate their success, because in their initial fights, they were extremely good on defense. They just kind of, like I said, fell off later on, gave 3 1v1s out, and it almost ended up costing them. What do you think happens?
Well, hopefully not just heavy isolation once again, because both Space Rangers and Rev International did that when they last played on Killdome. Maybe we'll have a bigger emphasis across the pond leading into pit. I think the lights could potentially be hit here by the attacking side because, next map is Bank, and there are no lights on Bank, so might as well try to utilize those night vision goggles. So that might not be a bad option, and that could actually help clear out these top areas of ruins much more effectively because you can't really do it that well from that red swing. So I'm not really like a big hater of this idea, and maybe instead of going this red door in a jungle, which I think is actually better than this castle door, they might go through castle just to get quicker establishment of pit in the beginning parts of this round.
Beach push coming out though, and so is the castle breach. Have I mentioned that I'm really not a fan of this pit just because it's not actually interconnected? I have to rotate through castle. But enough of that. Coke gets the entry and is going to be faithful enough for Space Rangers as the entry casualty. Mollies are coming out to deny a little bit of time from the attacking force, but it's not going to be enough. And all 4 remaining defenders are in jungle. 1 on top of each of the elevated positions, swinging out and getting the first kill. That's Tetra, and then 2 just playing below in the water. The kicks are coming out on green doors, and soon it's going to be Calf pushing Sosig. Has the AP-25, and it's probably going to go well for him against the Ingvar. That's a very slow firing weapon, but the Molly will deny that for just a few more seconds. Coke, by the way, got a second while I was talking. That's Tetra falling, and somehow, some way, the defenders are just running out of control. Coke with a triple. Can he get 2 more? Sosig gets Cav. It's all up to Sosi and Catatonic to keep themselves alive for just a little bit longer on this round. Jack is still very passive in Castle. I don't know what he's doing there. Coke will start pushing up, though, with the Black Tar. It's looking the wrong way. Catatonic will take him out and go for the second round to Cam. Sadly misses the shots. It's all up to Sosi to clutch this 1v2 out. He finds the first one. Can he make it 2?
Potentially.
Nope. 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 That's all she wrote. 3 for Coke, 2 for Cam. Swift round.
Yeah, once again, just situational awareness, not up to stuff there. I mean, FaZe, why the hell are you in base? You can't leave anywhere comfortably from base.
I disagree. Please, quickly.
Really?
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off. Check where everyone died. Check where everyone on defense died. Can we show the map for a second, Roach? Can we just show big map?
Jungle.
Everyone died jungle. They all fell back. They had no control established anywhere else. What you do here, this is as Barber specifically after told me, is you put the barb on the top of base there so that you force them to go towards green, and then you play in pit for those kicks. You have someone maybe even in castle or top jungle, or sorry, top pit to help you out. And then you have like 2 to 3 people, you know, playing in water and jungle. If you are just playing 4 out of your 5 people where the bomb is from the get-go, you have nowhere to fall back, and you will just get pinched and pushed from all possible directions when attackers read into what you're doing. And so I like the fact that FaZe was playing out. The problem is that he had no one to support him, no utility to support them. The one barb that was there was a barb that did more harm than not to him. But the fact that he was playing in base, I'm a fan of that. That's what, you know, the defender should have gone for as a team, not just as an individual player of FaZe.
Yeah, that is what I was going to get out, but thankfully you worded it very well. Sorry, where he played in base was probably my biggest annoyance there. Because you have a potential to fall back. Why not play for that? The barb and pit, like you mentioned, horrible for him to fall back. He was playing there to die, and he was by himself. Do not do that. That's so dumb. If they had one more player alive, that would have been a very different round. Probably would have favored Space Ranger, actually, because once again, not only the isolation by Space Rangers, but also Rev International was completely obnoxious to look at. Like, Jacques doing, honestly, nothing.
Jacques things?
Yeah, just doing Jacques things. With the Saber, one of the best guns to have for the attack, unless you have a defender weapon.
In Castle,
why are you in Castle doing nothing? You get nothing out of playing there. Don't do that. That's silly. But
that is
thankfully Cam and also Coke are simply built different.
We do a little bit of trolling every now and then, and apparently we troll a little bit on Killdome. Hopefully no trolling on Bank, though, as it is 3-2 scoreline in favor of Rev at the moment. Can they keep their lead up? Can they increase it even? Probably? Yes? No? What do you think?
I don't know. Especially since we have RI, I'll call them for right now. Funny enough, the state name I'm in. They are going for a double-prong attack. They also want to get control of accounting because they know how strong it could be to get accounting control pretty early on. Maybe they will try to late charge it. That's what I would prefer. Maybe Louis will try to place it and then wait, but no, I think they'll try to detonate it as quickly as possible. Maybe instead late charge entrance instead. They will get some sort of late charge going in through, but having only 2 people play accounting and go for that immediate aggression could be an oversight because how much natural cover there is. But hey, look at Louis. He just runs in and somehow finds almost 2. Don't know what the hell you were looking at, Mercury, but at least you shut him down. And luckily, Jacques died as well. The play inside of accounting did not work at all, but that's because it was only Louis and Jacques pushing from there. If you're gonna late charge somebody, have only 1 or 2 players entrance. Don't have only 2 in accounting. That is such a big waste of manpower.
Yeah, I can just hear Louis yelling, blow, blow, guys, what are you doing? But it didn't end up mattering. The Saber is just chalking everyone's health down. Finally, he falls, though. That's Tetra. It's all up to Coke. He's very low HP. Try and contest that. Sosik's playing insecurity, though, and he needs to do something. Gotta go for a flank. That's exactly what he does. Takes off Coke, but Cam will find one onto Catatonic. Again, it's 1 versus 2 for Sosik. And while he has full HP and 2 mollies in his pocket for some unexplainable reason, I honestly don't think he can get it. Maybe, though, they're not even looking in his direction. The comms are horrible for the attackers at the moment. Sosik can now just chill. He knows where the last attacker is, and the last attacker has to actually go around to push him. Sosik just chilling those couches, excuse me. No need to do anything. You still have 2 mollies at the night, 20 seconds, and this is it. You've wasted enough time, because before Cam gets to you and to the vault, there's no time to defuse the bomb anymore. Sosik, masterful molly comes out, and a second one actually to take out Cam. Overall, though, what a fluke. What a fluke coming out from Rev. There are rounds where I really just want to commend them, where I really just want to go, hey guys, you did this really well, you know, congrats on doing that. But then there are rounds like this when you have 2 people blow manager early and the other 3 are just chilling outside main, and then comms are not there. You know when
Yeah.
Sosik pushed out a security and he got Coke on the flank and then got another kill, and then in the finishing seconds, another one from literally the same angle, another one, DJ Khaled. But he literally got them from the same angle, and it just wasn't relayed. He was gifted 2 free kills because comms weren't what they should have been.
In terms of opening entry, it has been Rev to really kick it up a notch, especially in the hands of Louis and also Coke. Fun thing to look at though, Jacques did no damage. It was basically just Louis running into accounting, and I think I understand what Rev wanted to try there last round. They wanted to late charge entrance, so when they fall back into lobby, then they get surprised, like, oh god, now we're getting pushed from both, manager and teller, and now also lobby. What do we do? But like the execution of that again, not good, because they had such a weak presence inside of accounting. Basically, just Louis. Jock did not do anything there. That it was not
Yeah.
enough.
You want to
So,
know?
again, like you mentioned, team play. Gotta step it up, man. Gotta step it up. The
You
coordination
want
is
to know
bad.
the biggest problem for the attackers now for Rev?
What might that be?
Actually, never mind. I cannot count. Never mind. I can count. Never mind.
That's okay.
Let's
What were you going to say?
disregard. I was gonna say they double blue and they have to save under the charges. I didn't realize it was the 6th
Oh
round.
yeah,
So
no,
again,
that,
we're
yeah,
just
no.
restocking. But
All good.
boxy dumb moment. It happens. Brain slow. We've seen a lot of DPL in the last 3 days. This is our 3rd consecutive day casting it. So mistakes like this tend to happen every now and then. But it is what it is, and you guys will just have to deal with it, as do we. I hope we've been doing at least relatively okay so far. I think we have been.
I think I would say so as well. Hopefully, we see both SR and Rev International pick it up too, because they have making a lot of mistakes. Hoping that to change though pretty soon. I'm wondering where the attack wants to breach in through. Maybe kitchen? I'm not a big fan of this kitchen play because
No.
this. Like, yeah, you have the windows, but you also have like all of these like islands as well for the defenders. But FaZe, okay. I don't know what your idea was there, but apparently you just wanted to die. Okay, buddy.
Well, I mean, I like the kitchen as in this window you can just kind of hold, hold in here. You can
Yeah.
also kind of hold the flank off. You can really secure the flank. You just position those yourself in this window, and you get anyone that's trying to flank towards the bomb side later on. And that is what they could be doing, but they aren't. They just all pushed into kitchen, and there is no flank watch established. Now there is. Jack is looking in the right direction, and Abra's still playing checkpoint, uncontested, just waiting for a time to strike. He's being extremely patient, but Jack is ready for it. Will he actually get it, though? I'm not exactly sure. The nades are coming out, though. And the execution of the site is commencing. Abra still waiting to push, but Louis and Cam both get one. It's all falling apart. The bomb is being tapped, but Abra swings right as Jack looks away. It doesn't end up mattering, though, as everyone on Space Rangers just falls apart, gets taken off, gets put in the dirt. And that is another round for Louis and company.
Oh, it is
I
pronounced
was
Jacques and not Jacques. Wow, I feel very stupid. That's okay.
so
I,
a
I I was like,
Jack.
I wanted to like check earlier, but we didn't know like all the team names. It's been kind of
Uh-huh.
like a spitball, and I'm like, oh, it must be like Jacques. It's like the same thing. Maybe like the last couple letters are silent. Nope, it's not. My apologies.
So what is it?
It is like kind of how you were saying, kind of like Jacques.
Jack.
Kind of,
Okay. Jack.
kind of. Oh
Okay.
well, I didn't need to
Well,
say that out loud. That might have caused more confusion for all of us later on. I'm sure he won't be too mad. What I am mad about though, was FaZe. Holding kitchen, that's totally fine. You need to know if you're either playing there to die, so you commit fully, or you fall back in a good area. Don't fall back through barbed wire
mhm.
next to a window. You're going to die, and you're not going to do anything because your back's turned. So you either fall back and rotate all the way around next to that courtyard area, or you don't fall back and you try to deal as much damage as you can before you die. One or the
I
other. You can't just I hate to say this, but you can't half-ass your plan because you start getting scared. Don't do that. That's dumb. Once
yeah.
again, dumb stuff early on for no good reason, giving Rev International a round again and reclaiming the man advantage or round advantage, sorry.
Get on side more, but it was a huge talking point of mine, and it was the fact that while they entered kitchen, no one actually checked one of the side checkpoint rooms where Abra has been playing patiently for a flank. No one checked that, and it's a one-way, dead. I don't even know how to call that. It's a one-way room that you can't flank through. It's like as soon as you come into kitchen, just clear that one out to make sure no one's playing there. But no one did that. They all just kind of collapsed towards the side, and that's why Abra was able to get one, and possibly could have gotten even more. But luckily for Space Rangers, or rather, excuse me, Rev, they had the reflexes to quickly turn around and at least refrag that. But again, why are you not just checking adjacent rooms, especially if they're like dead rooms with only one doors on them? I don't quite get that. But I will stop my rant. I know we're watching lower leagues, we're casting lower leagues. Mistakes will happen. No use being mad at them. I hope that we can improve upon those though. And we're back on factory, and it's another interesting one. I love these factories, fellow, that like have this main area just kind of be one thing. It's stock, it's the pipe works, everything is just kind of one huge mess, and I like these factories. It creates a bunch of long angles that both the mob and the saber can play.
Yeah, I feel like that's what you kind of know. Kill House 4 or not Kill House, sorry, Factory. Sorry, thinking of the old
Hmm.
map we just saw a moment ago is a you know range for where you can have your mop player really shine. So sick just sitting in the back on Factory. He's gonna be able to do a lot of damage potentially. Office is not bad for these like early long range areas you can contend with. But there are a lot of different areas you can kind of get shot from as well, and it is a bit of an uphill battle. But it looks like we will have the attack of Rev go for this office play just for that early high ground. They don't have a saber in this round, funny enough, so it is a bit questionable. But I digress. I'm sure they could be fine. Louis is just inside of server farm somehow, some way, and almost kills FaZe. Thankfully, he's not going to win that out. And here comes the entourage inside of office. It's going to be that 3 versus 4 with the defense actually in the lead. And not a lot of long-range weapons to play with here, Boxy. So all that control inside of office is going to be very difficult. But thankfully, Jacques is actually able to get rid of now 2 separate players as they just swing him at the worst time possible. And now all of a sudden, it's back in the driver's seat here for Rev.
Yeah, and once again, we see Space Rangers do this exact thing where they just kind of, collapse onto one another and they're just kind of stuck. This time it's in Dark, last time it was in Jungle, Kiln Dome, and they just give up control so much and so quickly. Cam's gonna be pushing up onto Dark Dome, misses a few shots and ends up being punished for it, but it's gonna be Cav trying to get the refrag, and he actually succeeds. It's all up to Sosic with the mob. He finds the first one, and he knows the second one is very far away in office. The long angles will actually play into his favor, and that is exactly why JK is pushing up. He will decide to maybe pick up an AP, but not really. The flashes and the smokes will be coming out though in just a second. And there we go. He threw the smoke. He threw the flash. He needs to push up now, but he's running out of time as well. Sosic has been full flashed by that though, and now he needs to find the kill. And it's going to be up close. It's going to be up personal. And it's going to be hard to win with the mob, but he's looking in the right direction. Can he find it, fellow? He hears the audible cue. Jack just isn't sure on where to push. Sadly, the shots are missed, but does he have enough time to get to the bomb? Yes, he does, just barely.
Man,
This
Jacques.
was last second.
Yeah. Quite literally, he had a second to spare. He hit it right when it hit 10 seconds. Great stuff there by Jacques. And what I want to know is why SR, they were just swinging stuff for dumb reasons. Because they killed Louis, which is fantastic. Not only because he is your best damage dealer, maybe Jacques actually is ahead of him now, potentially. We get to look at stats in just a few moments to see if that is the case. No, Jacques is actually kind of low on the board. So 1,500 damage for Louis. He dies early on. That's fantastic. And now you know that the top damage dealer is gone. Not only that, but they all have to push through office because there's no one in green. You hold green proactively, but yet also passively, you have someone playing your toxic as well, that mop player in the back of Doc, and you don't swing anything. You
Yeah.
wait for them to give up that high ground and you wait for them to drop, and then you start swinging. They just,
Mhm.
they didn't wait. Again, the patience. They have to come to you as an attacker. You don't need to overswing anything or overstay your welcome there. Yet we saw that happen by Space Rangers. Like it's just
Yeah.
such a big
I mean,
upset because their
just
positioning
as
was good, but their timing was poor.
Yeah, just to circle back a little bit onto Jackie and why he has such low damage, it's mostly he's been really coming alive in those, kind of late round engagements where everyone is already chipped at a damage. If you've seen, he is the second highest top fragger on his team, but he mostly just keeps getting, those low damage kills. Because if you kill someone that only has 50 HP left, only those 50 HP will count towards the damage, not the entire 150, which is the entire health pool of an attacker, for example. So I think that's why he's just kind of been on cleanup duty. He's actually just been yelling clean up on aisle 5, and Louis just pulls up to aisle 5 and he just gets all of them. And I think that's mostly been it. But I still want to kind of critique Space Rangers' positioning throughout the round, because they start playing with most people just like having them in one or two rooms that are adjacent to each other, and then they have nowhere to fall back to. And this is a problem that we've seen in the upper league during the major. We've seen Katura had the same problem. They just start playing so close together, so close to the bomb site, without holding anything elsewhere on the map, that they have nowhere to fall back to when they get pushed out, and they don't waste any time doing it. They just, it's 45 seconds into the round and the site is already being contested and flashed, and that's their biggest problem. They need to spread out across the map a little bit more and still play close enough for refrags, but also hold some control elsewhere. And this is something that they are doing to some extent now, because they have someone in bathroom, they have someone in fridges, they have someone in storefront, and then someone in storage. So I guess we slowly but surely are progressing.
Well, hopefully we see that progression ramp up. I'm sure we don't want to have Space Rangers go into match point in this next round. They've got some interesting weaponry. Got some pretty strong ones like the Knack and the Full Auto, for example. But also you got stuff like the Gross and then the Tub, but you bring up the Tub as the inside joke. Melvin would probably say the exact opposite. I would kind of agree the Tub is kind of fun to use. Pretty satisfactory when you get a one
They
tap
muted Melvin.
with that shotgun. But anyways, we got Louis running in towards storefront. Nothing out of the ordinary. Gets the first pick, and there's Space just waiting with the Tub. Only gets one though for his trouble. Still actually pumping it back, trying to land a second, but cannot do it. Lights now hit as well. This is a pretty good position overall by the attacking side of Reb. They don't have that man advantage, but they could start applying pressure onto the bomb. Luckily, there's a molly toss, so it's going to have to actually wait. Plenty of room still being cleared out, allowing Sosik to isolate out Jacques. So the man advantage is back in the favor of the defense, and they still have plenty of good weapons to play with as well. Cam is the only one left now, as Abra gets rid of Cav. So things have actually gotten a lot better in the latter end of this round so far, and we even have Tetra going on a flank potentially as well, or at least hitting the lights back on. That technically gives away his position, so Cam might be expecting some sort of flank, but he'll still just hold his ground near that double door. I do not know why Tetra was trying to run out there, almost losing out on his fully automatic shotgun, but thankfully he managed to get out at just the right time. Abra and Cam now trying to outduel one another between Fridges and Arcade, but no one coming out on top in that altercation. But mostly Cam has lost more of their HP in comparison to Abra. So it's basically 5 HP left here for Cam, quite literally 10 HP, matter of fact, and Abra's still holding the exact same position next to that barbed wire. So it actually is going to be a 4th round this time for Space Rangers, as they are not going to get put into match point and series point just yet.
By the way, for anyone that joined late, before this match, we spectated SR take on Organized Chaos, and after round 9, the outcome was literally the same. It was a 4-5 where Space Rangers
Yeah.
were one map down, but this is where they stayed. They didn't win a single round after. They ended up losing 7-4. And I was gonna comment before this round that this is shaping up to be another 7-4. And the closer we get to it, the more I think that could be the case. Again, we flipped the sides, we flipped the script. The attackers are now defending and vice versa. So they're back to their starting sides from round one. And we are back on Kill House once again. I do hope and pray we don't see this godforsaken kitchen play this time around, both from attackers and defenders, because this kitchen is frankly cursed. It feels like Donut made. If there was a Donut Kill House, this would be a Donut Kill House, I swear.
Well, okay then. I see your strong sentiments
I
have
love
taken a
you,
big
Donut.
toll. Yeah, clearly. But
Clearly.
yeah, I'm like not a big fan of kitchen either. Although I don't hate like playing here as a defender. You just have to know your limits and you have to respect those limits, of course.
Mm,
But it doesn't really look like we're gonna have that happening so far, at least by the attack. Maybe they'll try to go push through kitchen like through green, but that is like a very timely thing to do. And then you still have to worry about, brick house, any wall bangs, depending on where the barbed wire is placed through office. So I would feel like if they are going to try to go through hallway / kitchen in any way, shape, or form, maybe go through like office instead, then clear out like this. I feel like that'd be a
yeah.
much better option because then there's no wall bang capabilities, and you just have to watch this if there's someone already on flank duty. That would probably be
Yeah.
the best option here.
And you can always play into courtyard as well. Again, there's like a bunch of windows that you can just kind of lock down. Even
Hmm.
even kitchen potentially you could, if you somehow kick down these doors or if you open them. You could kind of watch most of kitchen on the flank as well. So there's always that. And it does look like Rev are gonna have at least some presence around hallway. This barb makes me a little bit anxious. It may actually get destroyed because this is the radius. I'm not gonna draw it fully because it would be slightly inappropriate. But this is the full radius, and I think it's clipping just over. I'm not sure if the wall will stop it, but I kind of doubt it. So that barb may actually get destroyed by a red breach. It's luckily not coming out, as the attackers have elected to make this a eco push instead. So they will push into hallway without any explosives on head. Besides a grenade, they probably hopefully use on these doors. Cam will be the one to come out.
Ooh, that was a very poor volley. Looks like Cam's going to get that first pick, but then quickly get traded on out. At least Jacques was able to fall back inside of office. This play so far, not too shabby, but once again, I would most certainly prefer having everyone move around through office instead, rather than try to clear out through brick house, especially since Louis' positioning is going to definitely favor the defense because he has that full auto. A flash get'll toss first and foremost, but I would like to see that grenade. That way no one gets funneled in through. First one gets piped through, but there is a second set of barbed wire for the defense to play around. Maybe wall bang potential as well. Here comes Abra with the charge. Great play though by FaZe. And here comes the site presence. Only Louis now left alive as Jacques tries to flank, but get caught with his pants down. Now only Louis left alive. Gets rid of Abra. Still, it's a 1 versus 3. The DPU's almost fully done, and Sosic waiting with that pump action is just in a better position to win that gunfight, and it will be completely equalized now. 5-5, and once again, no match point found just yet, and we might see a tie game on our hands here, Boxy.
I mean, that's definitely becoming more and more of a possibility. And honestly, I don't know. If you ask me which team has been playing better, I don't know. The scoreline is equal, but usually you still can kind of say, okay, I feel like this team has, been doing better because of this and this and this. But honestly, we've seen both mistakes and good stuff come out from both teams so far. So maybe a draw is what they both deserve. Not get the full 3 points, but maybe get that one. It's probably worth. I was also pointing out that they're pretty equal on the scoreboards all around. I do want to talk about Louis some more. He's already at 1.7k damage, 13 kills, and 8 deaths, 6 assists, 4 and 5 on entry. And you can tell that like out of his 4 entry or out of 5 entry duels, he won 4 of them. But that's the problem with him. He just flashes, sprints in, gets a kill, and then immediately gets traded. And he doesn't contribute to his team as much as he could. I feel like you could send most of your players in and either have them get a kill and then get refragged, or have them killed and then you refrag them. But the fact that Louis is off the board for the entire round then is not something that I'm a huge fan of. I'll be honest. Again, he's one of the more experienced players on his team, if not by far the most experienced one. And the fact that they lose him on so early, yes, he can kind of help with calls later on in the round, but having him alive would also do wonders for Revsport, and that's just not something that's been happening On the other side, though, Tetra has also been falling pretty early for his team, so I guess there is that. But enough rambling, we're on to Factory, and please let me know what you think is going to happen.
Well, I would love to see more than just an office push. I feel like that is just putting all of your eggs in one basket. At least getting someone inside of green. That way they could have pipe control much easier and not just only pushing through here, for example. But that is definitely a lot to ask for. It looks like across the map, though, we've got a wall charge being placed. That's not horrible. You can deny this sight line like it's being drawn by the attack here. That's not completely horrible. You just need to worry about, this position, for example, this long sight line. So they're going to opt for a double charge, actually, because they understand that. And they're like, hey, we don't want to get completely fried by anyone in office. Let's just double charge and try to confirm match point. Not a bad idea because in theory you only need 2 rounds and you get this one in the bag as a victory. So you can kind of spend a little bit of extra spending money and possibly get away with it if you get the round in your back pocket though.
Look at this though. We may be breaching dock, and while I'm not a fan of that particular one because it kind of like the stuff in front of the breach kind of obstructs your views, I would just go for this one and have as many deep angles as I wanted into the side. We're at least seeing a dock play, and while this is one of the worst docks to breach, if you ask me, at least we will be seeing one breach. And you know me, and anyone that watches us cast knows that I'm a big fan of dock breaches. I just feel like they add a lot to the game, and many people decide to not do them because they consider it a waste of a charge. But I feel like in most docks, you just open up so many interesting angles for your team, and if you just know how to hold them properly, it can do wonders. That is exactly what they're doing though, but they're still waiting for the Clacker to rotate around. Office has been breached as well, and now it's going to be Cam holding it for a while. Molly goes way too shallow and doesn't actually connect, but Jack will get the entry. Finally, Doc is breached as well. Now it's so sick on the Saber, it's going to be doing work. Abra finds the entry for his team, though, and equalizes it 4-4, but Catatonic will actually swing it in his favor. Not for long, though. Tetra gets 1 and 2. Catatonic with a second one as well. And that's the round. I'm so sorry, fella. I didn't even let you speak.
Oh no, I gotta just enjoy that round from the top down view. I actually did not hate that molly by Cam because it did force everyone to be kind of stuck in this chunk of office until they finally swung like that, but there was still another window. That wasn't bad. Only
That's
problem
true.
being is
Solid.
they did not expect this. They did not expect this shutter play, and also Cam already dropped. He didn't really try to get aggressive with this swing, which if they had 2 people, both one right here in pipe and this, they could have had everything on Overwatch inside of office. That could have been a very deadly round favoring the defense. But we didn't see that happen, unfortunately. So even though that was a pretty decent molly overall, wasn't really played into that well by the defense. And like I mentioned a few seconds ago, after those first 30 seconds or so, we saw everyone kind of forget about Doc and just figure, oh, they're all going to funnel into office, which that didn't happen. You know what? We didn't see a 5-man push by Space Rangers. They did
That's
it,
true.
Foxy. They finally improved. So
And it
I'm
was
very happy about that round, to say the least.
Yeah, and they did it with a dog breed, so they get bonus points for me. I
Mm.
am now a Space Rangers fan, but it's actually them who push it over onto match point, and it's over Revsport who have looked stronger for most of the game. Now Rev can either tie it up or lose this full out. And Space Rangers already lost 7-4 against OC, so we'll be getting the second win. You know, you can tell how important it is to them to not leave the first play day with a 0-2 scoreline. But I think Rev have been putting up a huge fight, and I think also, having them lose this one would be like, I don't know. A tie is still very possible in my opinion. But we need to have Louis not die very early on because, again, he kind of gets the entry, then he's taken out. He doesn't really contribute much to the round otherwise. If Louis can stay alive for longer, if he can do more than just get the entry and then get refragged, I think this is a tie on C-Store.
Well, because we saw that double charge play, it does limit the attack very heavily. No wall charge here for shutters, and they really only have a couple of good options to go through. Arcade is kind of finicky because you've got to deal with like this, and then also
This
you
is
can't like.
absolutely an arcade that Argo would run out with a shotgun.
Of course, of course.
This is the Argo map, I think.
What else is there to do in arcade as a defender? Like, what you're just like you have to swing this. You have to swing this. Like, of course, completely
Yeah,
understand Argo.
absolutely.
Anyways, yeah, this arcade really weird to kind of attack. It's just a long hallway leading into more longer hallways like this, for example. It just doesn't make sense unless you have someone like late like late kick this. So when they start flashing arcade, then this fallback is kind of weak and they have to commit like this. But that's just asking a lot. So going shed, much easier. You can have someone kind of like proxy these sight lines so there's no defender inside of freezer. Just hold down a couple long angles, start watching on the bomb, for example, and you can push through bathroom. The only problem is that this is like very one-sided. So I would still like to have someone maybe like, I don't know, have two people like maybe late contest this. That wouldn't be like terrible, but coordination, it's been kind of iffy by Space Rangers. We've seen them blossom on certain rounds, in particular the last one, but not every time they've been spot on in having depth.
You know what's worrying me though? Look at the 3 and the 2 on the map. 2 in bathroom, 3 in freezer. I just feel like this is going to be a blow and then a full-on storefront and bathroom rush. I don't think they're going to be playing this passively, holding the angles. I think they're just going to sprint in, and Jack is going to be the first one of contention. He's playing with the Ingmar. Again, a very unfavoring weapon to have up close, but it doesn't end up mattering because he will be able to fall back before he's actually pushed out. Bathroom door is now kicked. Louis needs to make a decision on where he will play. He also has the leg roast, which is not the best weapon up close, but Ingmar is paying dividends as Sosik will be the first one to fall on entry, and Space Rangers are just kind of stolen bathroom again. They're afraid to peek out of freezer again because Jack has just been swinging that so adamantly. Coke will be there to provide a little more bullets for his team, but it won't end up mattering.
Only problem here with the attack of Space Rangers, they have too many close quarter weapons, only a big AK and Pocket of Mercury, so they are essentially trapped between bathroom and freezer, technically two different rocks in a very big hard space, to say the least, as we have all the defenders playing for range. Now they may have a knack and a short Gruber, but it won't really matter because their Ingmar player of Jacques is stepping up big next to that bomb chassis. 5 versus 3 now turns 4v3 as Tetra may find one, but it's still nothing but net here for Jacques. Cam will deny the ace pretty early on, but it is only FaZe. They managed to actually get a team kill in the process. Someone tries to line up on towards FaZe, but Jacques falls because of that. A 1v2 much more winnable than a 1-on-3. Cam now gets fully blinded. FaZe could try to isolate, but no! The Super Shorty will be the reason things get tied on up. And like I mentioned, that's the only thing I was worried about there for freezer and bathroom is you don't get a lot of map control early on, and you've got to deal with all those long ranges. So nothing happening besides just that freezer and bathroom control was just the sigh of defeat there for Space Rangers.
And
Technically, they still got to tie, but they did lose the last round, unfortunately.
I'm not a biased caster, at least not in the lower leagues. Let's, leave the upper ones for another day. But I kind of hoped SR would have taken home the dub, especially, after their loss to OC. But also I had such a great line ready, fellow. I was gonna say Revsport may be international, but the Space Rangers are intergalactical. And now I don't get to say it because they've tied, and it doesn't make sense for me to say it. And I'm devastated.
Uh yeah, that sucks. You still could have said it. It would have been kind of cool.
I
But
could have.
not as strong,
No.
I guess, because
They'll
it was only
they'll
a
they'll
tie
get the
game. That's fair.
line. They'll get the line when they win.
Fair enough. But all that being said, Boxy, that
Yep.
does conclude our day here at DPL. All the matches are over and done with, I believe it to be. I don't think we have any 4 o'clock games today, do we?
No. It's just
Did
two.
not think so.
It's just two time slots being played, and there's a bunch of matches being played at the same time. A lot of our friends, by the way, I don't know if you know, were streaming on secondary, tertiary channels. It was, I think, Merchant, Daxi, Argo, Dalton, or
Dalton.
D16 as such, as you know him. Yeah, all of them were like kind of on secondary and tertiary channels, just streaming the game just so that as many as possible could get streamed. But it was me and you, fellow, on our main channels. As always, we always plug ourselves. The community is only as big, but still, on Twitter. This is Boxy and fellow cast, if I'm not mistaken. So,
You are mistaken.
what? No,
L.
I'm not. Oh no, fellow the caster. It's fellow the
Yeah, there we go.
caster.
You got it right though
Okay,
pretty quickly after. You recovered.
okay,
That's all that matters.
okay. Yeah. Steam as a fellow cast, but I think this is all for us. Again, thank you to our beautiful observer Roach and producer, obviously, and then map view Melvin, who wasn't in the booth up with us today, but I guess you still got to watch some pretty amazing games. So thank you both. Thank you everyone that tuned in with us. And like I said, this pretty much concludes it for us. So we'll catch you next week in the upper league on Saturday and then lower league on Sunday once again.